If Social Security is the check your whole month leans on, lean in right now. The raise coming in 2027 is shaping up to be one of the biggest in years, and a piece of it may already be spoken for before it ever lands in your account. The early projections put it near 3.8%. For the average retiree, that works out to roughly $79 more a month. Sounds like good news. It is. But 3 quiet forces are already lined up to take part of that raise back. And for some of you, they take almost all of it. And here's the part that should bother you. Nobody from Social Security or Medicare is going to call and tell you which one is about to hit your check. So stay with me to the end, because I'm going to show you the one form most people never file, the form that can put the money back when the system quietly pulls it out. Welcome back to the Finance Scribe. And if this is your first time here, I'm really glad you found us. Quick thing before we start, these numbers shift every year, and no agency mails you a warning. So hit subscribe and you'll hear it here first. And don't just take my word for it either, every official source is linked in the description. All right, first things first, let's start with the good news because it's real. Every year, Social Security adjusts your benefit for inflation. They call it the cost of living adjustment, the COLA. For 2026, that raise was 2.8%. Modest. Forgettable for most people. 2027 is looking different. The latest estimate from the Senior Citizens League, a group that tracks this closely, projects a COLA near 3.8%. A full percentage point higher than this year. On an average retired worker check of about $2,081 a month, 3.8% adds roughly $79. Call it $950 more across the year. One honest note though, because I won't pretend otherwise, that 3.8 is a projection, not the final number. The official figure doesn't get announced until the middle of October, once the government has the summer inflation data in hand. It might land a little higher, a little lower, but the direction is clear, and the reason behind it matters. Prices on the things seniors actually buy, groceries, housing, the doctor, climbed faster this year, and some of that traces back to tariffs working their way through the economy. Higher prices, bigger raise. That's how the math works. This part is for anyone whose Social Security check is the foundation of the whole month, the money that covers the rent, the car, the prescriptions. For you, an extra $79 isn't abstract. It's the gap between a tight month and a slightly easier one. So when I tell you some of it may not survive the trip to your bank account, I'm not saying it to scare you. I'm saying it because the people quietly taking it won't announce themselves. Force number 1 is the one everybody expects, and it's the smallest of the 3, Medicare. Part B. If you're on Medicare, the Part B premium usually comes straight out of your Social Security check before you ever see it. You don't write a check. It's just gone, quietly, off the top. Right now, in 2026, that standard premium is $202.90 a month. A year ago, it was $185, so it already jumped almost $18. For 2027, the Medicare trustees, the people who run the numbers on the program, project the standard premium rising to about $209.50, an increase of roughly $6.60 a month. And here's where I'll be straight with you because a lot of channels won't. $660 out of a $79 raise is small. For the average person on the standard premium, the raise wins. You keep most of it. Don't let anyone tell you Medicare swallows the whole thing for everybody, because for the typical retiree on the standard premium alone, it simply doesn't. But notice what I keep repeating, standard premium average person. There's a rule called hold harmless that shields a lot of folks in years when the premium jump is bigger than the raise. Your check legally can't go down because of Part B. The catch? In a big raise year like this one, that shield mostly doesn't kick in. And it never covered everyone. New to Medicare, don't have the premium pulled from your check, or earn above a certain line, and hold harmless does nothing for you. Quick question while we're here, and I do read these. Which state are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. A lot of this shifts state to state, and it tells me whose situation to dig into next. So if the standard premium isn't what eats your raise, what is? That's force number 2, and this is the one that does real damage. Force number 2 has an ugly name, IRMAA. It stands for the income-related monthly adjustment amount, and it's the single biggest reason a retiree can watch an entire raise disappear. Here's how it works, and stay close, because the timing on this one catches people completely off guard. If your income sits above a certain level, Medicare stacks a surcharge on top of that standard Part B premium, not a small one. Depending on where you land, IRMAA can add anywhere from about $70 a month to more than $400 a month on top of what everyone else pays. $70 is already most of your raise. $400 is the raise plus a piece of the check it was attached to. Now the part that ambushes people, Medicare doesn't look at this year's income to set your surcharge. It looks back 2 years. So your 2027 premium rides on the tax return you filed for 2025. That return is already done, already filed, sitting in a government computer right now, deciding what you'll pay. The projected lines for next year start around $112,000 for a single filer and $224,000 for a married couple. Cross one even by $1 and the surcharge clicks on. And this is aimed at a very specific person. So lean in if it's you. Did you have one unusual income year in 2025? Sold a house? Cashed out a rental? Did a big Roth conversion? Took an extra large withdrawal from a retirement account? Lost a spouse? And your filing status changed? Any of that can shove your income across an IRMAA line for a single year, and Medicare will treat you like a high earner in 2027, even if your real income today is modest. One good year, 2 years back, quietly eating a raise you need now. Most people who get hit just pay it. They open the letter, they sigh, they assume it's final. It is not final, at least not for everyone. There's a form that can undo this surcharge when the right kind of life change is behind it, and that form is exactly where we're headed in a couple of minutes. Hang on for it, because if this is your situation, it's worth real money. Force number 3 is the quietest of all, and maybe the most unfair because it punishes you for the raise itself. It's the tax on your Social Security benefits, and it runs on a rule nobody has touched since 1984. Here's the trap. Like the government, and it's like a government looks at something called your combined income. That's your other income plus any tax-free interest plus half of your Social Security. For a single filer, once that number climbs past $25,000, up to half your benefit can become taxable. Past $34,000, up to 85% of it is exposed. For a married couple, the lines are $32,000 and $44,000. Sound low? They are. And here's why that matters so much. Those numbers were set in 1984 and never adjusted for inflation. Not once. Had they kept pace with wages, that $32,000 for couples would sit above $96,000 today. When this tax was born, the government figured about 10% of seniors would ever pay it. Today, more than half of retiree households do. More than half. Not because they got rich, because the line never moved, and they did. Now feel the cruelty in it. You get a 3.8% raise. The raise lifts your benefit. A bigger benefit lifts your combined income. And a higher combined income can push more of your check across that frozen line into taxable territory. The raise, in other words, can trigger its own tax. This one's for the middle-class retiree who never once felt wealthy, the couple with a small pension, a little savings, and a Social Security check. You're exactly who this frozen rule was rewritten, by pure accident, to catch. You can't move the line, but you can manage around it. A form called the W-4V lets you have federal tax withheld from your Social Security check on purpose, so a bill in April doesn't blindside you. It won't make the tax vanish, but it kills the surprise. And if you know one person living on a fixed check, do them a favor. Screenshot this part and send it over, because almost nobody sees this one coming. All right, the form I promised you. If I R M A yes, sorry, is the surcharge that eats your raise. The SA44 is the form that can hand it back. Its full name is the Medicare Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount Life-Changing Event Form, which is a mouthful. So just hold on to the number SSA44. Here's what it does. Remember how IRMAA looks back 2 years at income you might not even have anymore? The SSA44. lets you tell Social Security in writing that a real life change has dropped your income since that old return. Charge me for my life now, it says, not my life 2 years ago. And the savings aren't small. Winning one of these can save somewhere between roughly $1,100 and nearly $7,000 a year per person. But I'll be straight about who it covers because this is where people trip. The SSA 44 is for genuine life-changing events. You retired or cut your hours, you lost a pension, you married or divorced, a spouse passed away, and your income changed. Those qualify. What usually doesn't qualify is a one-time bump, like selling a house or doing a Roth conversion. That's the honest catch. So if your surcharge came from stepping out of the workforce, this form was built for you. So if it came from a one-time sale, it generally won't help, and I'd rather tell you that now than waste your afternoon. Let me make it real. Picture Raymond, 66, who retired last year from a hospital maintenance job out near Sacramento. His 2025 return showed a full year of pay plus his final payout. So this year, Medicare looked at that number and slapped him with a surcharge meant for high earners. Almost $200 a month, swallowing his raise whole. He nearly just paid it. Instead, he filled out the SSA 44, attached his retirement letter as proof he'd stopped working, and within 2 billing cycles, the surcharge came off and the overcharge was refunded. One form. The raise back in his pocket. When you call to start it, keep it simple, and you can say it just like this. My income has dropped since that tax return, and I want to file an SSA 44. You file it online at ssa.gov, or call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213, or mail it, fax it, or walk it into your local office with proof of the change. That's the whole game. Before we wrap, one warning, because every time a raise hits the news, the scammers ride in right behind it. Here's the play they're running. You get a call, a text, or an email dressed up to look like Social Security, telling you to verify your information or confirm your bank details to activate your 2027 raise. Some versions threaten you, saying your benefits get suspended if you don't act today. Hear me clearly. Your COLA is automatic. There is nothing to activate, nothing to confirm, no button to click. Social Security will not call, text, or email you out of the blue demanding personal information or a payment to release your raise. That is not how it works. Not ever. So keep this line ready and say it right out loud. I don't give out information on calls I didn't expect. I'll reach the agency myself, then hang up. Don't press a number to be transferred. Don't call back the number they gave you. To reach the real Social Security, use the number on your own paperwork or their main line, 1-800-772-1213. And if someone tries it on you, report it. The Social Security fraud hotline is 1-800-269-0271. And you can file online at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Reporting it is how the next person gets warned, since the agency won't do the warning for you. So here's the full picture, front to back. Your 2027 Social Security raise is shaping up big, around 3.8%, roughly $79 a month on the average check, with the official number landing in October. That's real, and most of you keep the bulk of it. Force 1, the standard Medicare Part B premium, takes a small bite, about $6.60, and for the average person, the raise still wins. The second force, IRMAA, is the real threat. A surcharge from $70 to over $400 a month, based on your 2025 income, that can eat the raise whole if you had one big year. And Force 3, the frozen tax trap from 1984, can tax the raise simply for existing. The one form most people never file, the SSA 44, can undo an IRMAA surcharge when a real-life change sits behind it. So what do you actually do? 3 steps. 1, when your award letter shows up this winter, read the premium line. Don't just glance at the new total. 2, if there's an IRMAA surcharge and your income has truly dropped since 2025. For the SSF för jag så jag adjusted för sardai. A referred for 44. 3. If more of your benefit is getting taxed, look hard at the W4V so April doesn't ambush you. Now I want to hear from you. Of these 3 forces, the premium, the surcharge, the tax, which one has been quietly hitting your check? Tell me in the comments. I read them and it genuinely shapes what I cover next. Quick honest note before you go, I'm not the Social Security office, and I'm not a tax advisor. This is general information to point you in the right direction, not financial, tax, or legal advice. So check your own numbers against the official links in the description. And if this helped, do one thing for me. Send it to one person you love who's on Social Security or Medicare. A parent, a neighbor, the friend who'd never stumble onto this on their own. That single share might save them a few $100s they didn't know they were losing. This is the Finance Scribe. I read the fine print so you don't have to. See you in the next one.